The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of the community. The material and information presented on this podcast is for general information purposes only, and any reliance on the information provided on this podcast is done at your own risk. Hello out there, and welcome to another episode of the Apology Accepted podcast. So look, I hope you all have had an amazing week thus far. Congratulations to all of those students have reached their senior years and junior years, and who else we got? The 8th graders, it's their last year in middle school, and the 5th graders, it's their last year elementary, and then your kindergartners that's just beginning, and so much great things are going on with our students going back to school this year. So kudos to the students, kudos to the parents for helping our babies with their success and going back to school. All right, now, speaking of babies, my question is there a difference between young adult children and grown children? And this has been a topic in a group that I am in, a social media group that I am in, and I find it so funny to hear the responses. So I decided to do my response on my podcast. So in my opinion, here I go. Yes, there is a huge difference between my young adult kids and when my kids are finally grown. Because in my opinion, I don't have any grown kids yet. Okay? My oldest is 21 and he's still a young adult. And the reason why I say this is because grown, in my opinion, mean you are fully able to stand on your own. And you have reached that point in your life where even if you're not able to stand on your own, you have made the choices that you have made to put you in the position that you're in. So now you have to figure those things out, right? Young adult, that's what I have. I have a 21-year-old and a 19-year-old. Erica will be 18 next year. Whoa. Just thought of that. Good gracious. But my 19-year-old and my 21-year-old, they are young adults. But I still guide them a lot. Not necessarily make their choices, but they still depend on me for guidance. They look for my opinion. Hey, Mom, how do you do this? How do I fill this out? Oh, I got a notification. I got mail that's saying my registration expired. What do I supposed to say? How do I complete this process? Young adult stuff that they are learning. This is not stuff that, from my knowledge, they teach you in school. Registration and balancing, not necessarily checkbooks, because that was a question in our group. I'm like, I don't think no kid know how to balance a checkbook. But balancing accounts, what does it mean having several accounts and paying these different monthly fees and things like that? School is not really focused or teaching these things, to my knowledge. Now, you might get a couple of teachers that get real creative with assignments, especially in subjects like math or government, can get real creative on assignments as far as life skills and things like that. But for the most part, that lesson is going to come from us, the parent. And now that my young adults are at this phase in their life, it just simply means my parenting is different. The way I parent my young adults is not the same way I parent my 13-year-old. And my 17-year-old, she kind of like in between a little bit, because some instance I do parent her like my 13-year-old, meaning I'll say, hey, dinner's ready. Hey, come eat. Hey, did you eat? My young adults, I don't necessarily say that. Yeah, and that's the difference, because, well, my 19-year-old, he's off to school now, but my 21-year-old, he is working and back in school and, back and forth. So when he come in the house, he'll see that there's food available. Not necessarily me being the mommy for him saying, hey, your food. And I mean, even with my 13-year-old, it's like, hey, dinner ready. Go eat. And it's up to her to go eat because I parent her differently now at the age of 13 than I did when she was 5 and 6, where I was still fixing a plate. So in my opinion, it's different phases to parenting. And just like our children grow, we as parents have to grow with them and adjust to their different phases in the phase that they are in at the different times that they are in them. And so one young lady in the group, she was like, no, my son turned 18. I told him that is it. He need to go. He need to find him a place to live. He need to get a car. He need to make sure he can pay his bills. And so I don't think that is nothing wrong with that per se, but if he's never done that before, then what is the process? It has to be I shouldn't say it has to be, but in my opinion, I need for a process to be in between that. You going to find you a place to live and pay bills from coming out of my house where you've never paid bills. So it's a process, it's a step in between that for me that I want to give to my children. Because if not, I feel like I'm going to set them up for failure. Because, hey, you go out here and do something that you've never done before and figure it out. Okay, great. You're going to go out here and do something that you never done before, but let me help you. What's your questions? What's your fears? Let's talk about this thing. Because, again, processes are important. So right now, my children, they, live under my home, right? But once they leave my home, they're going to have a sense of how to pay a bill, because that's important. I don't want to just be like, okay, bye, and then go figure it out. Not all children are strong, and I think you got to know your children as well. Some kids might can pick it up. All right. I know for me, when I was growing up, I wanted to move out of my mom's house, so I left and figured it out. Like, my mom ain't take me through a process where it's, well, this is how you do this, and this is how you pay your electric bill, and this is how you pay. No. I didn't have that. And so I know for me I feel differently about that, because being that I didn't have that support or that process in place, I feel like I need to give my kids that process. That, look, this is how you do. This is where you go. Well, everything now is online. So my 21-year-old, he have a few bills. So he know he got to pay him. He know when it's due. Let me help you set reminders, because hey, sometimes you may forget. And so even having a conversation with him, he was like, oh, well, I'll just put it on auto pay, and I'll just put it on auto pay, and it'll just come out and I don't have to worry about it. I said, great. That's a great idea. I said, but what happens when 1 month you don't have the money? Because life happens sometimes. And sometimes you don't have the money to pay. And now it's already scheduled to come out of your account. Like, how would you work that? And I listened to his answer, and he was like, you know what? Well, if I don't have it, it'll just make my account negative. And once my direct deposit hit, it'll just, clear it up. And I said, yeah, it would. I said, but you've paid more now in fees because you now have this negative balance. So you have this negative balance, and one day if something else come through and hit, and no funds are available. So now it's going to hit, it's going to charge you a fee for insufficient funds for hitting, and now you could have done what differently? And so these are the conversations, because sometimes our young adults don't think about the what ifs, because they're just right here in the moment. And so they want to do well, and they're right here in the moment, and they know what they want to do. But I always give my two boys, what ifs. What if this happened? What if that happened? And I am proud to say that even with giving them the what ifs, it's never been a time where they said, well, I'm just going to call you a dad. And I'm just going to ask you a dad. Like, I'm proud of that moment, because that's what I thought was going to happen. They said, well, you will just help me, or I'll just call you. And so little things like that helps me be at ease with, saying, all right, cool. As long as you can think of a plan for yourself. Because the plan can't be to just call me or dad. That cannot be the plan. It just can't. Now, wanting my children to be successful and helping them succeed and giving them the tools is one thing. But having my children think that they can just depend on me, that's a whole different ball game. And I don't want them to be dependent upon me, because the goal is for them to outlive me and dad. So once our time is up on earth, I need you to know how to do this thing called life and make these choices, And so being a grown kid mean you have went through some hurdles. You have went over some speed bumps. You have made some choices that really wasn't feasible for you, but you still had to get through it and make your way back, on the right side of the situation. You might have a family. You just out, anything other than you still relying solely on me and dad as a resource. okay? Because as a young adult, the parents are the kid's main resource, right? And so being able to have those moments in where you can figure it out, or you have figured it out for yourself, and I don't even know you had the issue. That helps. I don't even know you had the issue because you fixed the issue. You worked the issue yourself, and a lot of times our grown children, over 30, you done went out in the world, tried to give you assistance, but you had all the answers. Now you are just out here and your decisions are not the best. You are a grown child. You my child, but at this phase in life, you are grown. Not saying that you don't, or not saying that you don't, the child would need the help, because kids will probably need help forever. But making sure that you understand that I, the parent, is not the step. You done found yourself in the bind. Oh, you know what? I need $300 for a bill. Let me just call my mama. That ain't gonna work. That's not gonna work, grown man. 35. It's just not gonna work. Kids, and you got grandkids. I'm the parent. My child got 4, 5 kids. Oh, I can't afford their back to school stuff. Let me just call my mama. Ooh, that ain't gonna work. That is not going to work. And so, if I position myself as the parent now to assist as the parent to the young adult to help kind of make choices differently, then the goal is not to have these major issues as grown men and women. That's the goal. We can only do but so much as parents, because at the end of the day, as the young adult, as the grown child, they still gonna make their own decision. I just feel that if I told my child at 18, all right, you 18 now, bye-bye, get out my house, go find you somewhere to live, go and, go be great, but I haven't given him the necessary tools to do so, then back at my front door is where I'm going to find him. And that's not what I want. I don't want to do a little boomerang, throw you out there, and then next thing you back. No. The goal is, once you leave, you are gone. Because the way, in my mind, I'm a downsize. Let me tell y'all. The way it ain't gonna be no room if you come back. But I don't want the boomerang effect. I want them to be able to be successful. And again, so I have a 21-year-old, like I stated. And so in one of the comments, the young lady was like, well, I just don't feel like my 21-year-old and my 23-year-old should be living in my house. Great. To each his own, I feel like, with that. Because, again, if you have the 21-year-old or, 21 and older, I should say, living in your house, and they ain't doing nothing, then that's one thing. But if you have, in my case, so I can only speak from my experience, my son is 21, but he has his own schedule. He's out doing his own thing. He's not laying up in my house all day, every day, just hogging the air and the internet and the food. You know, so I think that's the difference. And I think sometimes that frustrates parents in itself, because you see that your 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20, 21, however, you see these kids like sitting around and you just keep saying, you need to do something with yourself. You need to do something with your life. You need to find a job. You need to go to school. You need, right? It's easy for us as the parent to say that, but how have we given them the tools? What tools have we given them? What assistance do they need? Because when my son, so my oldest son, that's 21, he graduated high school and he attended college. He was accepted, he attended, he didn't like it, he didn't want to do it. It was hard for him to come to me and say, hey, look, this ain't what I want. You know, in fear of I would be disappointed that school was not the route that he wanted to take. And so my thing to him was, okay, you know, it's not for everybody. College is not for everybody. And school definitely was not for him at the time because his mindset wasn't there. And so my thing to him was, all right, well, what are you going to do now? You know, what have you thought of? What are your options? Because doing nothing is not an option if you want my assistance. And that's where that young adult, grown kid the difference come in at, right? If you want my assistance, then you can't do nothing. So if you want to do nothing, then that's fine, but that's on you. And you go out and be great at doing whatever it is you think you can do without my assistance. And so he was like, you know what? I want to do a trade and I want to learn this skill and I'm going to do it this way. All right, cool. Great. No problem. Success is the individual's journey. Everyone's success look differently. All right? I mean, I woke up this morning without a migraine. So for me, starting my day, that was just successful all by itself. You know, I try to tell my children, look, now that you are older, because we ain't talking about elementary school, you know, I spilled some Kool-Aid on my shirt. We're not talking about that type of kid, babies. And even my middle schooler, her responsibilities have, you know, moved up a level. This your last year in middle school, you about to, you know, embark on high school next year. Time to take you up a notch on responsibility. Now, again, one parent in the group, she made a great point. She was like, you can give your children all the tools and they will still do their own thing. And they will still, you know, undermine what you do or what you say or any suggestions that you try to make to assist them. She is absolutely right. She is right. Sometimes we can give our children the whole toolbox and they still do it their way. And that's okay. That is okay. As the parent, if I know I've given you the tools and you chose to do something different, now the conversation is different. That's all. You know, your choice is your choice, right? It goes back to when I said, well, these are their choices. You have to live with the choice that you have made. You know, when my son went to school the first time, I paid for it. I was like, okay, you're going to school, me and dad, we gonna make sure you good. But now, his choice in going to school is all on him. So he gotta pay for it. You know, this is his choice. And I want him to be able to appreciate his choice. It's no longer, oh, mommy's gonna do this for me. Dad is gonna do this for me. Absolutely not. You know, so again, it's a big toss up with young adult children and grown children. I do not have any grown children as of yet. But once my children become grown, then their choices will totally be their choices. And if for whatever reason they might say, Mom, what you think about this or whatever, then yeah, I'm going to give my opinion. You know, but nah, the showing up at my doorstep because you need somewhere to live, you got all these children, we're going to have to talk. Because now you directly putting me back in your business where I don't want to be. Well, I know I'm not going to want to be, okay? I know I ain't going to want to be in that type of business. But giving our children the tools that they need before pushing them out the door. Now, it's up to them to use the tools. Absolutely. Absolutely. I still don't agree or think, or better yet, it is my opinion that when you're 18, you're grown. You're not grown at 18. You still depend on someone to help you over 50%. If I got to help you over 50% of your doing, then you're a young adult, still having the guidance from your parents or your mom or your dad or whoever is helping at that time. So to me, yes, it's definitely a difference. It's a difference, and not everybody feel that way. Again, some people just will be like, you know, my kids, they grown. They grown. Well, I don't have any grown kids at the moment. You know, they will be grown one day, but today is not that day. So what do you all think? Like, should kids, once they turn 18, go find their own place to live? And probably not. I should say 18 and has graduated, because my son was still in school. He turned 18 in May and he graduated June. So I'm going to say 18 and graduated high school. Do we say, I'm done. I done did all I was supposed to do. I hear parents say that, and some people feel like that with their whole heart. Like, I done did all I was supposed to do. For me, once both of my boys, when they turned 18, parenting just became different. And I just feel like right now, they need me more than ever. And not the mommy me, but the female me. They need me now more than ever, dealing with real life situation and dealing with girls and frustrations and everything that comes with being an adult. So let me know what you guys think. If you're listening, tap in, comment, reach out to me. Let me know what you guys think about the whole young adult versus my kids grown. So the grown kids? Now, for my mom, she has 4 grown kids. All of us are on our own. We do not depend on her. What she does for us is mostly in the fashion of doing for her grandkids, but it's what she want to do and not what she has to do. So that's the difference. You know, once I get to that point where I'm doing what I want and not because I have to, then we'll talk about grown. But until then, you're still a young adult. You're still a young adult to me. So, again, let me know what y'all think. Because I already know I'm going to have some folks that disagree. Which is fine. And that's why I love having these type of topics and conversations. And I love the social media group that I'm in because, I mean, everybody has a different opinion. And that's okay. So I want to hear you guys' opinion. Make sure you tap in. Until I come voice the mic again, you guys be safe.